everyone, and guess what? Today is Resin Day, so I'm going to show you a really fun resin project that I hope you like. So I have this piece of poplar wood. I got it from a localish place, and I've already cut it down, sanded it, the whole thing. And I have one of my Chocator transfers. Yes, that's right, guys. It's a Chocator transfer, but I said it's resin. Stay with me. I'm taking some of my torch paste and I am running it all through my transfer. Now, keep in mind, this is a silkscreen transfer. I will have my Chocator links listed below in my link tree in case you want to check it out. But the torch paste is not a Chocator product, but it works just the same way as the actual paste that comes from Chocator. So I did the bottom wording, which says wildly, and then I'm going to do the top part that says dream. I'm going to do that one separate. I didn't want them stacked, one on top of the other. I wanted them next to each other. So that's the thing you can do because it is it is adhesive. So you can kind of move it around, change the way it looks, kind of customize it in a sense. And then I will do the word dream. So dream wildly. Cute, right? So it's gonna be really fun. I can't wait for you guys to see this project. I end up messing it up, but I find a way to fix it. Sorry, that was a spoiler. So now I have that all set. It is right there, and that needs the heat part. I am mixing up my resin. I like to put the B part in first and then put the A part. This resin is a 2-part resin, a 1-to-1 ratio. And it is a tabletop resin. This one is from Super Clear. That has been my favorite type of resin so far. This is an epoxy resin, so just something to kind of keep in mind. And then I'm just going to mix it all up. You want to mix it for a good 3 to 5 minutes. I have a video on my channel that kind of gives you the rundown of ways to save when you're doing resin. Resin is by far not it's not a cheap project to make, but I do show you some ways to save. Anyways, so I'm still mixing. This is a very long process. There is some different things you can get to make it a little bit faster, easier, and whatnot. And then I'm going to put a little bit of it into this small cup, go in with some of this white resin tint paste kind of thing. I get this one from Mermaid Trash. Yes, that's the way it is. Mermaid Trash. And there's a ton of them out there. A lot of them are fairly similar. This is just the one that I'm liking at the moment. So then I'm going to take my resin right there. As you see, I am mixing it out, taking it out of the mixing cup and pouring it into separate cups. There's a reason behind this as well. When you're mixing it by hand, or anyway, you could potentially have some of it left over at the bottom. That's not great. That's not a great mix. So you transfer it out of that cup just to make sure that you get only the mixed resin on your projects. I'm taking now some of this mica powder. It is from Eye Candy, listed for you below too, in case you want to check that out. And I'm mixing that in. I like to do kind of more in a turquoisey direction, so I'll mix 2 colors together to make my colors, if that makes any sense. One will be a little bit of a darker tone, one will be a little bit of a lighter, brighter tone. It's just personal preference on the blues and all of that. That was the mixing process. I like to let them sit a little bit. Now, this is totally up to you if you do it, or you just pour it directly onto your board after you're done mixing. I want to let them sit and kind of set up a little bit, almost like they're starting to dry. We only get about a 30-40 minute time frame on those. But I put down my little pyramids to kind of elevate my work, and I then check to make sure that it is level. That's important. Now that basically the next step after this that I'm doing right now will be to put the resin, I'm going to go ahead, heat up my torch paste. You have to let it kind of come to the point where it's dry before you do the heating. And then I'm taking just a more of a garage style heat gun as opposed to the crafting one. Ooh, hello. What was all that about? Oh, I think there was a storm going on, so everything was blowing around. So I'm sorry. Back to our project. So yeah, like I said, I'm just going to take the heat gun. It's set up to a pretty close to the maximum heat and the maximum amount of air coming through. And you'll see that it has turned all of that orange colored paste black because it has really burned the wood. I've done many projects with the torch paste before, so if you're interested, let me know. I'll be happy to kind of point you in a direction of them. Now I'm going to add in my blue pigment. This is obviously the water part. Now is when it's going to get dicey. All right, so I took down, again, the darker side is more towards like the deeper part of the ocean, as opposed to the lighter side. It's more of like the shallow part of the ocean. At least that's what I tell myself in my mind. And you'll notice on the right-hand side, it is much further down. It is significantly further down towards the words. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So I am just going through making sure that I coat it pretty well. And I'm going to take my little popsicle stick and go all around the edges too. I want to kind of coat that too. Preference again, if you don't like that look, you can always tape it off. And then I'm going to basically make sure it is like coming over the edge because it's going to break that tension. Now you'll notice my water is getting closer and closer to my words. And I keep moving the board thinking like, okay, I'm going to get it to get away from my words. It doesn't happen. It's going to touch them. I mean, again, spoiler alert. So I do get a little bit of a mix between those two colors to kind of give a little more gradient. You'll notice here it is hanging out. It's getting close. I'm now going to put down my clear, which again is going to touch my words. And then I'm going to put down my white. The white is the one we mixed in the beginning. The clear is obviously no pigment at all. I hit that with my heat gun, and we're going to actually start to blow out the waves. If you are interested in like a real-time blowing out of the waves thing, let me know. I'd be happy to make that for you. So I basically have the heat turned up, and the actual amount of like air that comes out is set to a lower amount. And you just kind of push them out away from the edge of my board. And here I am trying again to get it to get away from my words. As you can tell, it's not happening. It's coming for me, basically. Sometimes resin will do what it wants to, not necessarily what you want it to. So I was like, well, let me blow it a little bit more. And finally, I'm ready. I'm like, okay, it's going to be what it is. There's not a whole lot I can do about it. I'm just going to embrace that it's going to happen. Then I thought like, well, let me prop it up. Let me keep it going in that direction. Again, resin is self-leveling. Here's how it ends up though once it is cured. And I'm going to tell you about today's video, and we'll come back to how I fixed it. So it is hosted by Can Sarah DIY It and by myself. There's going to be a little playlist for you to go check out where everyone is making resin projects, either epoxy resin, UV resin, and it'll be listed down below, as well as Sarah's YouTube channel so that you can check her out because she is a resin person too. All right, so now my project is completely cured. It's very pretty. The blues are gorgeous. And I was like, well, what the heck am I going to do? So I actually take my chalk couture transfer and I'm going to line it up. It's way easier than you would think it is. And I'm going to take my chalk paste, regular chalk paste, nothing special about it. And then I'm going to go over all of the areas that the resin flooded it, basically. And this I'm going in with just a little squeegee. It's actually one of their smaller squeegees cut in half. It's a little tip for you too. If you need a smaller, tool, just cut one of them in half. And then as you see, everything worked out really well. I do take a little paintbrush and kind of go over any areas that needed a touch up, like mostly between where the wave met the wood. Some of that needed a smidge of a touch up. So it's easy enough to do just to make sure everything is nice and seamless. And I think it ends up working out so well. You can obviously, when you're looking at it in person, you can see the difference between what's wood burned and what's the paste, but I'm crazy about it. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and add in a second wave. It does not hit the letters this time. So I'm going to take some of the blues. Like I said, I try to do along the same tone of blues, a lighter and a darker again. These ones have significantly less of the mica powder in them so that it has a little bit of a translucent effect. You can still see some of that white foam, if you will, that serves as our wave, So you can still kind of see some of that, and it gives it a little bit more depth, a little bit more realistic look to it. And I'm just now kind of smoothing everything down, giving a little bit of a little wavy look to it. and then I'll torch it with just a little blowtorch. Just that pops all the bubbles, makes sure that you don't have, you know, all of that staying on the surface of the resin. I'll then go in with my clear again, pretty much the same process as I did the first time, except this time it's going to be a little bit better behaved. And then I'm going to go in again, same thing with the white, and trace it along the bottom part of that clear. See, I'm learning. I'm staying a little lighter in the amount of stuff over the words, because I was like, well, okay, it worked the first time. I don't want to try my luck on the second time. And then now I'm doing the same thing I did before, is really just blowing out all of that white pigment towards the back of the board. And not that you can see it right now, but I'm using my hand motions to help me express what I'm trying to express. But now, like I said, it's doing the same thing. And what it is the heat is what is kind of like separating all of that white pigment from the resin. So that is what's giving you that laced wavy effect. And it is just it's one of my favorite things I've been doing lately, and I've been at it for a couple of months, and I still kind of love it, so I hope you guys love it too. Now that that is done, I'm going to go in with just a little bit of clear resin, no pigment added to it, and I'm going to just go over the black paste that I had done on the wording, because I want to make sure, obviously, that that is set. This is what's basically sealing it in, because it is washable, the paste itself. So that's why you want to make sure on something like this you do seal it. Now, there would be absolutely no reason why you cannot do these kind of projects on boards like this. I have recently started an Etsy shop. It's under Theresa B Design Resin. If you're interested, I'll have it listed for you below, just in case you're curious, want to check it out. I've got projects there for sale. And today, if you leave me a comment down below that says, make me, make sure it has the words make me, something in there. Make me resin, make me a board, make me something, I don't know. Anyways, one winner will get to kind of collaborate with me on making a board, and that will be your gift, if you so choose. Again, make sure you use the words make me in your comment. That way I know you want to enter to win that option, I guess, right? And I'll contact you just by responding to your comment, and you'll have a week from when this one goes live. It goes live on the 6th, so 1 week later is when it'll close, and I'll reach out to you via response to your comment and give you further instructions. And let's go ahead and get back into our video. All right, so now everything is completely cured, and what I'm doing now is I'm taking my heat gun and going through and kind of like re-warming up all of those drops that are on the bottom of our board. So this is an optional thing. Well, I mean, you don't want to not remove the resin, but some people don't use tape. Some people use tape. It's just preference kind of thing. If it's really easy to tape, it's no reason not to use it. Again, you can definitely get away with not using tape. You have to then heat it up and, of course, pull off all of the excess. If it's a hard shape to tape, you can really skip it depending on the wood. Some of the wood that has like a larger grain, more open grain, those are a lot harder. So this particular project is going to be a sign. So I went ahead and already measured out 3 inches from the edge to add my hardware. I did drill a pilot hole, and now I'm drilling in to add my hardware to hang it up. And of course, I could not find my drill bit, and so I'm doing it by hand. Isn't that the way it always works? So once you're done with that, actually, I would recommend doing this part first. I'm going to go ahead and add my finish. Now, this is a wood oil that is from Atomic Finishes. I really like this product. I'll link it for you below. Not sponsored or anything, but I just figured I'd let you know I like this product. It is a food safe one, so if you're making charcuterie boards or making cutting boards, it's a good option too. Make sure you coat the entire thing, the front, the back, the sides, the whole thing. I did do the back. I had to remove the hardware and then added it on and then came back. But I wanted to show you real quick. This is my little like trademark thing I just started doing pretty recently. Is I have cut out my little bee logo on my Cricut, and then I'm going to apply some of the torch paste and actually torch my little logo on the back. Not everything I have currently on my Etsy has this. All of the newer stuff has it. Anything that was like a live edge board, Some of the stuff on there that was already finished before I did this, I haven't added it. But anyways, all of the new stuff that is going up on there will have this. And boy, oh boy, do I have a lot of wood to make projects with. I think I might start trying to do some in-person stuff too, probably when the weather cools off a little bit at least. Probably sometime in September I'll start doing that. So anyways, I've added my torch paste. I removed the actual transfer and I had a little bit kind of bleed over, so I just wanted to remove that before I take the heat gun to it. I thought I edited out the process of getting my heat gun, but that's okay. You got a little shot of my legs. But just basically you take your heat gun, same way that I did on the front, and I'm just going to heat it up. It's going to burn the wood. This one had a little bit of bleed through because some of the actual finish got kind of on that part, but that's okay. This is for me, so I'm okay with it. Here it is though. This is it, all finished. It is actually outside. That way I could get really true like lighting to it. The right coloring kind of comes through on the picture. And I absolutely love it. And I hope you guys really enjoyed this project. And don't forget to go check out the playlist so you can see what other kind of things everyone's making. And I will see you next time.